Hi, welcome to Chris Cooks for You Too. Today we're going to be doing smothered steak, green peas, and we're going to do homemade mashed potatoes. So I'm going to get started because I don't want the video to be too lengthy. I'm going to start out with chuck steak, and chuck steak is a cheaper cut, and I know I have a lot of pieces because I do have house guests tonight. Chuck steak is a cheaper cut of steak, but you see the fat that's running through it. That fat acts as a tenderizer. This comes from the shoulder part of the cow, and because it comes from the shoulder part, there's not a lot of exercise up there, so it makes it tough. So this is your best steak when it comes to smothering or cooking anything that requires you to add moisture to the steak. So we're going to start out by seasoning the steak, and I have today some salt, which of course you put salt on it, and I have, this is a very good seasoning. It's garlic and onion mixed. I'm going to be using my garlic and my onions mixed today. I'll sprinkle that on. I have some smoked paprika. This is smoked paprika, and if you never tried it, you need to add this to your arsenal of spices. And what the smoked paprika kind of tastes like is a cross between a smokehouse and hickory bacon. So that's the best way I can put it. So we're going to add that, and I'm going to get my pepper for you, because I didn't bring it over. And we're going to put just a light flour coat on it. We're going to pan fry it. And then we're going to smother it off with some onions. So that should be very good and tasty. Just stepped away to get my cracked black pepper, so I can put that on my meat. Okay. So one side of this is done, and we'll just flip it. And I cut it down your size. Your pieces don't have to be even. I just cut up my bigger pieces and made smaller portions out of it, and this could still be cut even yet again. But if you look at it, you see the marble running through it. And that helps to tenderize it down, and this meat should be very, very tender. Even though it's tough, you know, when you start out, because of the way where it comes from, it's still a good cut of meat. And that's why in your markets, that the chuck steak is the one that's sold cheaper than the other, than your than your round steak or any other type of steak. So we're gonna get this all seasoned up. You wash that paprika. And because I'm using paprika today, the gravy will have a reddish color to it. And that's what we're really looking for in our gravy today. So some people use it and they call it their red-eye gravy. So I'm going to smother it up, put some salt on it. Okay, I'm going to pan fry it. Then I'm going to put it, smother it. Now, I have a bag with not a lot of flour in it, just a small amount of flour. And this flour should be enough to do all of the pieces that I have. I'm going to toss it, and I'm going to go over to the stove. Now here at the stove, I have my green peas already cooking. I have my potatoes. They're already boiling because I'm going to show you the homemade potatoes. And I'm going to saute these onions up real quick. Okay, we're sauteing the onions up. And I think that it's just about ready. It's been sauteing now for about, I don't know, probably about 7 minutes. And you can see that it's starting to turn to that brown color that will take it over to caramelizing. We don't want it to do that. So we're going to take the onions out of the pan. And into the pan, we're going to add some more oil. And we're going to pan fry the steak right in the same pan. I have this big, it's a pot-like pan really. And that's because I have so many pieces of steak. So I wanted to make certain that whatever I put it in, it was big enough to hold it. Now, I'm using old grease. This is chicken grease. There's a reason why I'm using it, and this is about probably a little less than a half a cup. And the reason why I'm using the chicken grease is because the chicken flavor will help add to the flavor of the steak and the gravy. So this is actually the best grease to use as opposed to using some fresh cooking oil or fresh shortening, whichever one you use. Now, this is coated, and I'm going to put that down. Now, I can cut this. If this is too long, I can cut this once I take it out. So I'm not really worried about whether I cut it before or I cut it after. And I'm going to pan fry these up for about 6 or 7 minutes. Now, 6 or 7 minutes will not cook this through. It won't do it. But the rest of the cooking will be done in the smothering process. So I'll put these in, and when they're ready to flip, I'll bring you back. Okay. While we're waiting on the steak to fry up, we're going to go ahead and do the mashed potatoes so that they'll be ready. I have a half a stick of butter, and I just cut it into pieces. I'm going to mash a little bit with my butter, just a little, just to get it started. Now, to that, I'm going to add some salt. And all I put in my potatoes is just salt. I don't use pepper in it. I'm going to add some chicken broth. And I'm going to add some carnation milk. And I like to use carnation because carnation velvetizes in food. I think that's a good product when it comes to canned milk. Then I'm just going to mash these potatoes off. I'm not putting garlic or anything in it. So by the time the rest of the meal gets ready, the potatoes can go along right with them. Now, we have the green peas and they're already done. We have the mashed potatoes, and like I said, I do that when it's hot because the butter can go ahead and melt in it and everything. And you kind of cook your potatoes until they're done and they've started over to kind of be real soft, because that will make them very easy to mash. These are mashed up just that quick. I'm going to add a smidgen bit more milk and a little bit more chicken stock broth. And the reason why I did that is because I like the chickeny taste. And of course, like I said, the milk helps to velvetize. Okay. Now all we need to do is just taste them to make certain that they have enough salt in them. But the potatoes are ready. And these are russet Idaho. So they ought to be good anyway. Okay. We'll get back. Okay, now the meat is ready to turn. So we're going to turn it over. And you see the brown color on it? That's good. And it's got a little light flour coating on it. Okay? So that's the way it looks when you turn. So when you come back, I should have finished all the meat so we can make the gravy for it. Thank you.